Today on the Skid Factory, we're kicking tyres and lighting fires. Shit, we've got no tyres. We're getting close to firing this bad boy up, but we've still got no brakes or axles on the rear, so we're going to have to sort that out first. The tail shaft is finished, it's ready to pick up, so we're going to get that later on. The rear brakes are here. We've got the hopper stoppers kit. It is made out of Commodore parts, same as the front. So these stub ends are Commodore anyway, so it kind of bolts straight on. We have had to change the bearings on the axles, because that seal is that's basically your crush spacer as well as your seal, and they are different sizes between drum and disc brakes. So they came with the kit. We got some new bearings. We went to Oldcox and pressed them off. Pressed the new ones on, so they're ready to go in. These cups were inside here for the old bearings. Very hard to get out. I used the old mechanics technique of welding the inside of them with a MIG. It basically shrinks the bearing and it just pulls out. They're very hard to get out otherwise, so that's a good tip if you've got a welder and you're not scared. So now we just got to bolt everything together. So there is obviously instructions. Do need to read them. Depending on how wide your diff is, you may have problems with caliper clearance on the inside of the body. I don't think it's going to be a problem with this car because the diff's not that narrow, but every car may have when it's got a 9-inch in it and it didn't come with it, there's a lot of variables, so you do have to sort of pull the spring out and check for clearance on your caliper to here. Otherwise, when the first time you drive down the road, you might smash the caliper off on the body. So we've already dummied these up and everything looks good, so we're ready to throw it together. Backing plate on first, axle in, caliper on, rotor on, caliper on, pads in, make some brake lines for the rear here to go between the calipers, bleed them up, off we go. Let's do it. And we've got to fill it up through the axle hole. Just move the camera. Look.
Good one.
555 Klondike Nugget.
Tough mounts.
Tough mounts. Woody and I have been going pretty hard for a couple of days, just working on the car with cameras off, just trying to get it, all the little things done, sorted, so we can get it running. The engine loom and body loom is all sorted. That's all pretty much, except for a couple of little things. I think that's the horn, but I don't know. Most of it's done. Lights and everything are working. We're all plumbed up. Woody got in there and added all vacuum hoses as required. All the ports are underneath, so you can't see them. Most of the stuff's hidden. We've made a brake booster line. I got a AN fitting and machined it down so it matched the grommet, and we've got a one-way valve on the other side just hanging off the manifold. Boosted engine, or even non-boosted stuff, you have to have a one-way valve so you don't blow your brake booster to bits. Even backfires will damage them, so even if it's NA, it still needs one. So we got one of them in there.
Boost controller.
Boost controller's plumbed up, wired up, all good. Some heat proofing and stuff around it.
Do you want to explain the dual port?
It's pretty standard to use dual port when you want high boost. So we're controlling the top of the wastegate instead of just bleeding off the bottom. Just gives you a bit more scope. There's other ways of plumbing them as well, but this is probably the most common way of doing it. If everything is right and you're not starting off at £2 and wanting to go to 30, if you do that, that's a whole other story. We've got about £20 and want to go to 30, so it should be pretty straightforward. It shouldn't need much duty for that. We just got the brakes sorted. That's all bled up. Everything seems to be working all right. The pedals, we don't really know what it's got to feel like anyway, because it's made up of all sorts of bits and pieces, and it's a Torana, so it'll probably feel wonky no matter what. So that's all working. Once we get the engine running again, we've already had it running. We went through and got oil pressure and everything like that already, and just fired it up momentarily to make sure that everything was right, just for our own sanity. It's got no tail shaft in it though, so oil is squirting out of the back of it. So we're going to go get the tail shaft this afternoon and whack that in. That's probably the last piece of the puzzle, apart from fiddling around with ECU stuff and putting some wheels on it. And also, as you can see, we've got the obligatory small coolant leak that requires you to dump the whole thing down your armpit to fix. We had a couple of blank off plates where heater lines and stuff used to be, and I foolishly glued one side of it on, but relied on the brand new metal Toyota gasket on the other side, and it leaked past that. So we got the spooge out and gave it a...
Can we blame that one on Golby?
Well, he supplied the thing, so it seems fitting. So...
ECU setup, do you want to go through the basics?
Oh, we put some dipsticks in it. That was a pain in the butt as well. We didn't have a dipstick for the engine, so that was extra difficult. But Woody stole one out of some other junk motor that he's got outside, and we trimmed it down, or Woody trimmed it down. So we're not sure whether he trimmed it down too far or not. He did the old 100mm shuffle that carpenters do. So it might need 8 litres of oil instead of 5.
You could say that I just cocked up.
Maybe you should have been a carpenter. Maybe it might just need another 500 mils of oil, although you did measure it, so...
Yeah. I measured 3... Anyway. ECU setup, let's go through that.
So, ECU setup, we've done this before in detail with the VL, which was a while ago now, probably nearly a couple of years ago. So that's probably a good one to look back on, but we'll sort of briefly touch on it. Any of the base maps that you can load in, they will have enough in the VE map for the engine to run. So a startup, it will start. If you put all the right figures in for injector size, fuel pressure, engine size and that sort of thing, the VE map itself is good enough to make the engine run. If you've got other maps, I just usually go back through my database of other stuff we've done and pick a vehicle that's similar or that I think will work, and usually it does. But in this case, because we're using this auto control, I got a fully tuned map with the auto map in it from Mitch at Haltech for a 2JZ, so that's going to be more than enough. I've just changed the figures for the injector size and for the engine size, and that should be plenty to get it to the Hoffs and to make sure everything works, like run it up to temperature and all that sort of thing. The dash I've never done before, so we'll muddle through that. It's a generic dash, that, like, it's got a generic screen on it, but you can customise it a billion different ways, which usually means I just leave it at the generic one and learn.
Can we make the Hoff write something silly in there?
Like
Yep.
Wave Zone
Yeah.
men's aqua swim short.
Big W special.
If you want, big boy.
Right, we're going to get sidetracked with dogs again or ECUs?
What better to get sidetracked with than dogs or lemon squash?
Or starting your 500 horsepower 1JZ?
Oh, it's probably going to be 500. I just said that to Lee to shut him up. By now, we're going to assume that your engine cranks off the key or the button or whatever. It's obviously a must. Check your oil pressure, check for fuel leaks, all that sort of stuff, all the safety things. Then we need to grab our Bible and configure all these things that you've wired that way so they match the ECU. So it's pretty straightforward. You just go through the program, edit your connections. So what it says here is what it's going to do in the ECU. Once you've done that, you then need to check your ignition timing. That is not negotiable. It doesn't matter whether it's an LS or something that doesn't have a mark or whatever. It doesn't matter if you've changed the camshaft or you've done anything that it could be wrong. You need to check it because that ECU you can change it from 0 to 720 degrees. So it doesn't matter whether it's a set factory thing or not, you still have to check it. If you don't have a mark, you're going to have to put a mark on your crankshaft. So a lot of late model stuff, they just don't have that because it's set and forget from factory. But if you've got an aftermarket ECU, you need to know that it's correct, otherwise you're asking for trouble. So once that's all done, injector size, engine size, all the important stuff, then you can think about starting it.
Only think about it?
Or you can worry about it, or you can just hit the key and see what happens. There's not much you can do from now on in, you just got to try it.
You're always going to worry about it.
Oh, of course. But if it starts popping and backfiring and booming out the intake, then you've got something wrong. I often leave the fueling off and just put a small amount of fuel into the system separately just to avoid fouling plugs and stuff. And if it fires up smooth straight away, you know you've got your sort of firing order and everything right and your wiring. If you turn the injectors on and you're not sure, you can cause all sorts of foul the plugs, which is easy on this, but on some engines it's a nightmare to get the plugs out. So sort of take some precautions with that and eventually just try and start it.
What happens if your push rods are too long?
It won't start. What happens if you forgot to do the rod bolts up?
It'll start.
Do you want me to start it, or do you want to wait till the tail shaft gets here?
Well, we've already had it started, so I can...
It's no big deal for us.
Yes? No? It don't like you. Sounds really weird, eh?
Yeah, it's a bit nasty.
You give it a little rev?
Not sure those mufflers are any good. I reckon we've owned a lemon squash.
Yep. Rumby. Hey, buddy. So apart from good-looking dogs and running 1JZs, where do we go from here?
Wheels,
Tail shaft tomorrow.
tail shaft. It's always a good thing to transfer power.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not putting Lee's interior back in. The dash,
Oh yeah.
the IC7 mount from someone that you...
3D Racing Solutions.
Yeah.
Hooked us up.
So yeah, you can just buy a thing to bolt the thing directly into the old Torana weird shaped hole in the dash. So that's pretty cool. We got to make some stuff for the engine bay.
Catch can.
Catch can and overflow for the radiator and that sort of thing.
And have you booked in a tune yet?
I tried to, but I got cock blocked by Wendy, which is pretty much his or slash her job at the office to keep people away from the Hoff. But I'm just going to go straight to the Hoff because we're tight.
And let me make 400 horsepower.
Yeah, 400 will do.
330.
He only wanted 300.
Is that all we're going to do it to?
I don't reckon it could go that low, but we'll see.
So I'll come back tomorrow with tail shaft. You won't do a skid because...
Because respecting other people's vehicles.
Yeah. And...
Then what? We make more episodes or we
I don't know. I reckon we should...
buy the cheapest supercar crashed on the internet?
I reckon...
Fix that?
We should do that four-wheel drive that everyone knows about.
What four-wheel drive?
That real good one.
Which one?
The Challenger.
Is that a four-wheel drive? I thought that was just a single dad's car.
I'm going to take that thing everywhere you go and I'll show you up.
What am I in?
The car that everyone knows about already. Says this with a smile. Look
I don't know
at
what
his
you're talking about.
smirk.
Can I push your car off a cliff?
No!
Why? You can get out first.
Yo, George, can you get the door?
It's this Woody shafting service.
You measure and we pleasure them.
Let's see how my measurements fare.
Watch out for that transcooler.
Yeah. I've got some stuff to put over it. To put it in park.
Do you want me to get it out?
Yeah, dog. Shout out to David Baxter, who's a viewer. He sent me a message about this oil cooler and said that he works at a security door place and he's got his mounted underneath his car and he's used the security door material to protect it from impending doom. So he sent us up a couple of samples and we chopped it up and made a little rock shield for the cooler.
Ingenuity.
Good tip from a viewer. I've just been setting up the pinion angle to get the driveline operating angles right. We've talked about this before, but I don't think we ever had something that we could actually adjust, so it's a bit hard. But I've got the Dana Spicer calculating app up here. So you measure your angle of your transmission and engine, 2.7 degrees. You measure the angle of the drive shaft itself. straight on there, and then you measure your pinion angle, which we have to use a bit of schminging to measure it because there's no flat surfaces. And then I've just messed around with it. It was completely wrong to begin with, but now I've got it sort of at a reasonable level. You've got to, it's obviously better to do this when you're on a 4-post hoist, but we don't have one, so I've just loaded the rear suspension to normal height and adjusted it all up. Then I've measured to make sure this is sort of, because you can move the diff around a little bit with the top arms, and sort of got it so it's even to both sides. So that's all good to go. I'll lock those up. Should be sweet. It's all full of oil. We've had a look at the handbrake cables and we reckon we can just use the Torana ones. Just got to cut the ends off. We'll go and get some new ends, like stainless crimp ends that you can get from a balustrading place.
Bunnings.
Not Bunnings.
Bunning snag.
No, they don't have snags anymore because COVID.
Yeah, I think Noosa does.
No, they don't.
Are you sure?
No, it's your shout for lunch anyway. We're going to Rennie Street.
No.
Snack bar. So we're going to grab some of them when we go into town. I think, what have we got left to do? The transmission.
You got to shamingi those wires.
Resistor ladder
How
thing.
good is the word shamingi?
I don't know, that's the Martin word. Schmingi. We've got to get a...
Martin came up with church too.
Yeah.
Well, Martin put it into our vocabulary.
Yeah. He's the originator of the church. I think it's an Italian word, actually.
It is, yeah.
It's like Cious or something like that.
Chuccio.
What else we got to do? Woody messed up the oil
Yeah,
stick,
we've already,
so we got to
we've
fix
already
that.
been there, Alan. Lee's coming up.
Lee's coming to do the first burnout because it's his car.
You got to make the auto work first, though.
We've got to make the auto work first, and then we've got to put a mother can for an overflow bottle because Lee's a tradie and that's what they live on. Mother or Red Bull or what's the other one? Monster?
It's Dare iced coffee.
It's not strong enough. It's not tradie strength.
That just makes me shit.
It's nice to know. Put that in the list of stuff that you don't need to tell Alan. Bit of a monumentous occasion, something like that. Going to hit the ground for the first time since we pushed it in here, so hurrah.
Where's the discombobulator for the auto?
Look at that Carolina squat. Sick. So I made the energy polarizer for the auto and put it in a box because I'm neat. Just a bunch of resistors and a few special crystals in there.
I should have taken a picture of that.
You should have, but you were too busy trying to unseize the front brakes.
Yeah, which still aren't.
From 13 years of
Which are still
not
seized.
moving. So we might have to get some calipers or rebuild them or something. But I've got a...
Hang on, can we put the bonnet back on yet?
No, because it's ugly, because he didn't bring the scoop one.
Oh, yeah.
Put the scoop back on.
I will.
What's that with the red
You
shorts?
bought
today?
shorts to match the car.
Special occasion shorts.
Special occasion shorts.
The Wave Zone Aqua swim shorts are just for work. They're work shorts. $5 though, that's pretty good. Cheaper than Dickies. Hurry up, Lee.
You gonna leave the bonnet on top or are we gonna?
It's not going to go anywhere.
Probably will.
I guess if it gets damaged.
How many gears are you going to change? You can only use second. You're not going to go anywhere. The front brakes are seized, man.
It's good.
You want a hug, bro? Hey? COVID, come on, man. Go on, give him some props. Are you stoked or what?
It's noisy.
You wanted it loud, right?
Yeah.
It's not. It's the same muffler. I put the same muffler on the Volvo, and it's got this weird.
Yeah.
This sounds better than the Volvo. It's got this weird, like resonance or something.
Does it sound alright?
Good. Whisper quiet.
What?
Is that you?
Too much hair. A little bit fit. No, it's neutral. Now up.
Neutral.
No, that's stuck in. That's neutral. You got to go up now.
Oh, yeah.
That's reverse. Yeah.
Ah, yeah. Where do you want me?
Just come back. Come back. Hello. Boost, bro, boost. Yeah, full throttle.
Yep.
That's what gear you're in. First, yeah.
In limp mode.
You're gonna have to get some WD.
That's a shit skid, bro.
You're gonna have to get,
Wait, rev.
you're gonna have to get some WD on the
Can
tires.
you put the screw down on the inside further?
Just put a bit more float into it.
Straighten it up again.
Whoa. Get her up on boost, bro.
All that smoke just to...
Roll forward a bit.
Don't worry about it.
What are you telling me?
There's nothing wrong.
Why went it rev like a 308?
Because it's not in first.
Where do we make it go into first?
Put the controller in.
Roll forward into the pimp juice a little bit.
That's all good.
That's all we'll do.
Rev it up.
Aspirated.
Rev it up and then dump it into D.
We need the Hoff.
Yeah.
First. Second, mate.
No, it's got no auto control, so it's in like second.
There you go, just left there. Drive it up. Go.
What is it?
It's a lot of time and effort to do a shit skid.
There's the shed skid done and dusted, and that's driveway warranty voided.
It was a terrific skid, said no one.
Mine was better, I reckon.
It was slightly better, but perhaps if we had auto control, it would work.
So that was taking off in second gear. That obviously taking off in first would be a lot better. But
It better be.
Alan thoughtfully disconnected the boost controller,
Although
which,
it probably wasn't an issue since it didn't really want to rev past
well,
$3,000.
I think it was a good idea.
About 1,000 RPM shy of it actually coming on boost.
Yeah.
So
It's
it's pretty stout for a naturally aspirated low compression 1JZ.
just got to put that rod back in now.
Yeah.
It's been a long 13, 14 weeks. This is episode 14, and
it's been a lot longer for us. We've been doing this week to week, filming week to week, editing. We've also got lots of stuff going on in the background. Al just bought a freaking forklift too, so God knows there's projects everywhere. But we're pretty much, well, we're not finished yet. There's still heaps to do. Catch can, breathers, overflow, auto needs to get done, configured, wired. We need to get it tuned, which is happening next week. Wendy, if we haven't arrived yet, we'll see you tomorrow. If we have arrived, thanks for cock blocking us, and thanks, Hoff.
Thanks, Hoff, for being a legend.
And then the tune video is obviously the last one. And I think we're going to wrap it up there because it's been way too long. We do want to get this thing down to a Happy Laps event. We were planning on doing the road trip with Mike, but things just didn't work out for us. And by the time, after we get the car finished, it's got to get rego and roadworthy and everything too. So that's just the process in itself. So after this, we've got another project which has been on the back end of this thing, which is a pretty special project. And then onto
some other stuff.
Alan's car. So before we leave, Alan's got a few words to shout out a fan of ours. So
one of our fans from up in central Queensland has sadly been killed in a car accident, and his wife contacted us and said how much he enjoyed watching the show. Pretty sad stuff. She does have 4 children to look after, and there is a GoFundMe page if anyone would like to support them. It'll be in the description.
I'll leave it in the description. I might even flash it up on the screen now, so check it out. Sending our condolences, and it's also a big reminder to always drive safe, act responsibly. Yeah, we're drinking beers, doing burnouts in the shed, but even when it comes to driving on the road...
Yeah, but wasn't much of a burnout.
Well, yeah. But if you can, every cent helps. Throw in $1, throw in $10, throw in $100. It's really going to help out. So thanks everyone for watching. Thanks everyone for the support. Check out the GoFundMe page, and we'll see you guys next week at the dyno. And maybe Lee might be wearing pink shorts then.
Lee's never allowed to wear red shorts again.
You know what we should do is we should book we'll try to get it in.
Should put a Bitly link in for Wave Zone men's aqua swim shorts. Bright.
Let's get the car tuned when Lee's not there, just like we did to Dave.
What day are you busy next week?
I'll be there. The first week I'm not busy.
All right. See you, homies. Thanks again. Cheers.
Told you not to do a skid when it's not tuned.
Can we set the controller up?
We'll hook the trans controller up and maybe it'll do a skid then. Woody thinks he's going to be able to do it better. Oh, bro. What a terrible waste of Corona, bro. So it turns out that you are better at it than Lee.
Because Lee's fat, that's why.
So did you rev it to 11 and drop it into D for maximum respect?
Nah, no way.